I'm going to show you how to set up an enema for a patient, and you get your patient and you put them in the left lateral Sims position. You lay them on their left side and the top leg goes up so you have access to put the enema in. Left lateral Sims position. Then you get your enema bag, and the lid is right here, and in the lid is the lubrication, so you don't have to get extra lubrication. But before you start, you need to clamp this off so your water isn't going to go through. Then you need to get your bag, and you need to warm your water up to about bath water temperature, which is about 105. So you take this, open it like this, put it in the bag until you reach about 1,000 to 1,500 cc's, and it's right there in the middle. Then you take your soap that comes with your enema, and this is Castile soap. You open it up, and then you pour it in the bag. Then you kind of swish it around a little bit. Make sure you put the soap in second, because if you put it in first, you're going to cause a lot of bubbling. So once you do that, you can hang it up on an IV pole. And at this point, you're going to take the lid off, prime the tubing, which means let the water go through the tubing so you're not putting air into the patient. And now it's ready to put in the patient. Now you can do all this before you get to the patient's room. You don't have to do that right there in front of them. At this point, you're ready to put this into the rectal area of the patient, and there is a little hole right here, and there's a hole at the end because sometimes bowel gets stuck in the hole, so at the end. So when you get to this hole, you need to go at least 2 to 3 inches from that hole to get it in correctly. Let me show you this patient here just for a second. The anatomy is where the colon goes up in this direction, so you are putting it in to where it flows best to gravity. That's why you have them in that position. At this point, you're going to take them and open up the rectal area, and you're going to put the tube in to the patient 2 to 3 inches past the second hole, and you're going to hold it there because remember, it has lubrication on it, and if you don't hold it, it's likely to come out, and you don't want that to happen. If you don't get this in far enough, then when you turn this on, your solution will spray out, and you don't want that to happen either. So once it's in, then you can take your clamp and you just open it up, and it's going to start going into the patient. And you can see up here where the water level is going down, and your patient will say, I don't think I can hold anymore. This is as much as I can hold. And when they say that, you know, instruct them to do that ahead of time. Say, okay, I'm going to turn the clamp off right now. And at this point, you can discontinue the enema and take it out. And then they should have some chucks or a towel under them, because sometimes they need it under them when they go to the bathroom so they don't leak. And then just take this out, and if they can hold it for a little bit longer, that will help cleanse them the best. But if they can't, just let them go ahead and run to the bathroom. Okay, a couple things I want to tell you to put into your memory files is you don't want to just keep pushing this in the patient for a really long way. Remember, their colon goes up and to the side. And if you have a frail patient with a diseased colon, what can actually happen is when you put the tube up, it can perforate the colon, which is not a good thing. Perforate is tearing it, or it can actually stimulate the vagus nerve, which causes bradycardia, and the patient can faint. So you don't want that to happen either. So keep that in mind. You don't want to put it up too far. You want to make sure it's up far enough. And if you put this in your patient and they say, oh, I can't take any more, that's it. And if you've just put it in, sometimes just the stimulation of opening up a sphincter makes them feel like they have to go all the time. So just reassure them, turn it off if you've already turned it on, lower the bag because it works with gravity. And actually this bag should be maybe 12 to 18 inches above the patient. Okay, if it's higher, it runs in too fast. If it's lower, if it's body level, it runs in real slow. If it's low, it's going to come out, so you don't want that to happen. So keep it at approximate height of about 12 to 18 inches. Another thing is just reassure them and then start out slowly. There's a couple other different kinds of enemas that I'd like to tell you about. One is called a Harris flush, and this is to get the gas out of the patient. And you set it up the same way. You put it in the patient, you raise it up, and then you lower it. When you lower it, the valve comes back into the bag, but the gas comes in too, and air is not as heavy as water, so the air is going to come up to the top, the water's going to be down at the bottom, and you're going to lift it up again, goes back in, put it down, comes back out with more air, and you do that several times and you release the gas from their system. And if they are a post-surgical patient, then this is a really big deal because the gas pains are really, really hard on people sometimes. Another thing is called a Fleet's enema, which it just comes in a little bottle, and they can just administer it with just a little bottle, just squish the little bottle, and the end of the little bottle looks like this, and that's just for a very tiny little enema. Also, some of the enemas have oil, and that's for an oil retention enema, where oil will break up a fecal impaction, where the stool is really, really hard, and it needs oil to absorb into it so it can come down through the colon. So keep that in mind when you do your enemas. I'm going to tell you today about blood glucose monitoring and how to do a finger stick. And you get your equipment here, and you have your monitor, and then you're going to get your glucose test strip out, and if you will, there's a little number right here on the side, 2545, that should match this number, 2545, and it will show up on the screen when you put the sample in. So it's ready to go on your monitor. Set that aside and then get this ready for your lancet. And this is the little needle that goes to your patient. And you twist it on. You have your equipment ready, you have your gloves ready, you have your Band-Aid, and you're ready to go. Okay, first of all, I'm going to make sure I have gloves on, and I want to clean my patient's finger. And since this is the finger that he usually uses, like to write and stuff with, I'm going to go to a different finger. Go on the side, rub it with alcohol, and let it dry. And then hold the finger down, give it a little stick, a drop, get a little droplet, and then it will count down, and in 10 seconds you should be able to see what the patient's level is. And it's 98. He's doing okay right now. And then you take this out and dispose it in your sharps container.